if you're struggling with resilience, you're probably not going to take chances that would actually bring you success.
True.
That's a big piece of it. It's a really, really big piece of it. And I think that's why a lot of the people that you see as quote unquote successful are underdogs who had it rough in their childhood.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Proverbial Mind podcast. It is your host again, Samuel Oladeji, and here with me is Kelvin. He is the founder, CSO, and host of the Next Level University. And today is going to be talking to us about the three ingredients of success. So, if you have ever been wondering about what does it even take to become successful, I mean, everybody says do this, do that. I know there's a lot of cues and a lot of informations all around the world flowing today. Some say work smart, some say work hard, some say kill yourself, some say do this and do that. But today, Kelvin comes with a wealth of experience, starting from nothing and becoming where he is today. He's going to share us what he thinks and learned so far in his journey as the three ingredients that you need to learn if you want to become successful. And so we are going to get into that. If you're here for the first time, do not forget to subscribe, to hit the notification button, and to like and share our videos. Again, this is the Proverbial Mind podcast. If you're wondering what this podcast is all about, visit our YouTube channel, Proverbial Minds, and then look at our inaugural video. It is the first episode we ever posted, and we shared about what this podcast is all about. But to give you a little bit hint on what we are about, the theme of our podcast is the Proverbs of Leadership and Success. In this podcast, we are creating a community of great leaders and successful individuals. So if you're that person and you're at that point in your life, you're wondering what life is all about, you're lost and you're confused about the decision to make, or you're wondering about your purpose, or you're confused, why am I even on this earth? What do I need to do? How do I achieve my goals? Or you don't even have a goal or anything. This is the right stop for you. We are here to hold your hands all through the way. So don't forget to subscribe and to like and to click the notification button so that you can be notified whenever we post new videos. We have great contents for you in our YouTube and Apple Podcasts for you to learn many ways at which you can level up as a leader and as a successful individual. And for those of you who are returning and you have not yet subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for because we have a lot of great stuff in here to help you level up. So subscribe, man, and let's get this party rolling. All right, Kelvin, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself? But first of all, I usually like to ask this question. What is the weather right there today?
What is the weather like? It's 50 degrees. So I live in New Hampshire on the east coast of the United States. This morning it was below freezing. I had frost on my car for the first time this year. I think today it's going to be like 55 degrees. So we are in fall, moving into winter pretty quickly, Samuel.
Same here too. As you can see, I'm on my jacket. I'm ready.
You look very nice. You look very sharp.
Thank you.
You're very
Okay,
welcome.
Kelvin, give us a little introduction about yourself and tell us about the Next Level University.
Yeah, so today I am the founder, the CSO, and the host of Next Level University. We're a global top 100 podcast with 1,856 episodes, I think,
Wow.
as of today. Over 1 million listeners in 170 plus countries. And we do an episode every day trying to help people level up their life, their love, their health, and their wealth. That is really what I am passionate about doing. And the reason I'm passionate about doing it is I'm somebody who found success, and that is in quotations for those who are listening only. I'm someone who found success early in life, and then I realized that that isn't actually what success was to me. And I ended up sitting on the edge of a bed contemplating suicide the year after I was the most successful I'd ever been. And I feel like if I understood holistic self-improvement then, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the dark hole that I found myself. So that's why I'm passionate about talking about that.
That's awesome. So, could you share? I know many young people in the world today, especially the young folks, I've always had this issue of contemplating suicide and wanting to kill themselves. Could you share a bit of your experience on what really got you to that point to start thinking that maybe just exiting the world is the next solution? And how did you get out of that sport? I'm sure it must be a very difficult sport to be.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I've come to terms with recently is there has been a lot of mental health struggle in my family in general. So, I don't know if I was predisposed to depression and anxiety. I don't know. But I've been reflecting on that a lot lately. And that's something that I've come to. So, when I was 25, from all the outside standpoints, I looked very, very successful. I had all the measures of success. I was in really good shape because I was competing in a bodybuilding show. My girlfriend at the time was a model. I had a sports car. I had a high paying job. I had a new apartment. I had great friends. I looked really successful. My girlfriend ended up leaving me because I was so depressed. I was so anxious. I was afraid of my own shadow. I was so insecure. I just wasn't a very good partner. I thought to myself, Samuel, if I just go make even more money,
Hmm.
then the problems will probably just dissolve. But
That's what
maybe I
we
just
always
haven't.
think.
A lot of us have had that. We've made that mistake, right?
Yep.
So the next year, I worked and I grinded my face off, and I spent 10 months living on the road because all of our contracts were in other states. The company I worked for. We got to the end of the year. I opened up my final pay stub. I made $100,000 at 26 with no college degree. Boom. I should feel really good. That was not the case. I didn't feel any different internally. My circumstantially, my finances were better, right? I don't want to leave that out because money is important,
Oh,
but it's
of
not
course.
everything.
Yeah.
It's not everything. So I remember I had my final pay stub in my hand, and I thought to myself, for most of my life, I have lived unconsciously. I don't know why I'm doing any of the things I'm doing. I have no clue. The opposite of unconscious is hyperconscious. So in 2017, I started a podcast called the Hyperconscious Podcast. And that's where this whole weird journey that I get to call life began. I fell in love with podcasting. As I fell out of love with the job, I now know that this job and the money that it provides to me is not going to fix the internal stuff I want to fix. I know that now. But as you know, in the beginning, there's not a line out the door of people saying, Samuel, you have a really good idea for the podcast. How much money could we give you so you could do this full time? That's not a thing.
Yeah.
So I had to keep going to this job, and I was traveling so much for work. Every single week, I would get in a van. I would drive 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours to a job site, and I would live there for the week. And then I would come back and just do that every single week. So I just started to get super anxious every time I would get to packing my bags before I was leaving. I was definitely more and more depressed, and I was homesick, and I felt like I was living a misaligned life. But I have to pay the bills. I can't do this podcast thing full time. So I start calling out of work. I start leaving job sites early. I start showing up late. And eventually, I woke up in a hotel room 6 hours from where I lived. I was getting ready for work that day. And my alarm clock went off at 5:15, 5:30. I slid to the edge of the bed, was lacing up my work boots. And the best way to explain it is there was 10 televisions on in my head at the same time, and every single one was on a different station. One is saying you're stuck here forever. You're never going to get another job like this. You're never going to get another opportunity like this. Do not mess this up. If you ever did leave this job, what would your friends think? Make more money than all of your friends. Your friends look up to you, right? What would your family think? You're the most successful person in your family. And do you really think you're going to be a podcaster? That's what we're going to do. We're going to go from a 6-figure job to starting to doing this podcast full time. Yeah. And it was in that moment, Samuel, where I think I just felt so hopeless. I felt like there was not hope for a brighter future. And I thought to myself, well, if I was just to take my life, I would take all my problems with me, and I wouldn't have to figure this out. I wouldn't have to overcome this. I wouldn't have to work through the resistance. Luckily, I had and I have a really good friend, and I reached out to him and I explained what was going on, and he gave me a new perspective that day. So how did I overcome it? I reached out to someone. I reached out to somebody who I trusted. I reached out to somebody who I felt safe with. And him and I had already been vulnerable, so it wasn't super challenging for me to reach out. I wasn't worried he was going to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
It was, if I'm going to reach out to someone, it's going to be him. I feel like he has answers to some of the stuff that I'm going through. He said, Kev, over the last couple of years, your awareness has changed a ton, but your environments have remained the same. I think it's time for you to change your environment. And then 2 or 3 months later, I left my job. And when I left my job, my depression got better instantly.
Wow.
It almost went away completely. That it's just because I was just spread so thin from work. Now my anxiety got drastically worse, but the depression
Of course, yeah.
lessened. So,
How do
you
I
win.
pay my bills? How do I
Yeah,
eat?
yes. Yeah. You win some, you lose some. Samuel,
Yeah.
you win some, you lose some.
Wow, that is an amazing and inspiring story. I mean, looking at the fact that you were surrounded by what some people will kill themselves for to get, you know,
Mm,
and you think maybe that would make you happy and that would give you all the fulfillment that you want in life, the peace and the joy and the social the social verification that many of us seek.
yeah.
Whereas deep down inside you, you had a void that needed to be filled, and you were being spread thin by your job. And this is an amazing story because it made me remember one point of my life too. Though I've not really experienced that huge level, but at that time, given my age and what I was making, I thought I was fine. I thought everything was cool. And I was working, just like you said, working really hard, increasing the money, increasing the paycheck and stuff.
Mm,
And I thought the money was actually going to make me happy. The same thing. Never felt more depressed, never felt more frustrated, never felt more like I'm living someone else's life, in the world that I'm living. And
yeah.
so I can relate to that. And it's an amazing story that you have shared. And I want to tell people that at the end of the day, true success is not found in the money you make or the social approval you get, but it's in the fulfillment that you're in the right place that you want to be. You're doing what you love. You're doing what you call great work, like Steve Jobs always say. The only way you can ever be fulfilled in life is doing what you know as great work. And how do you do a great work? Is to do what you love. Now,
Mm.
how do you feel since you started doing podcast?
I feel really fulfilled, and my life is extremely challenging.
Mhm.
It's a mix of those two things. It's very stressful owning your own business. It's very
Mhm.
stressful having a team of 19 people. It's stressful serving clients, but I'm also the most fulfilled I've ever been. And I don't think that's by accident, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Here's the interesting thing about success. One, only you can define what success means to you. There are many people out there that don't want to live the life I live.
Of course, yeah.
Right? The majority of people don't want to
Mhm.
live the life that I live. You don't want to be on camera
Mhm.
all day. You don't want to work 6 days a week. You don't want to work 14-hour days. I don't blame you. Completely
Mhm.
understandable. Here's the thing that I've realized and I've learned about me, which has helped me learn about other people. I don't necessarily care what somebody's goals are. I care more about the lifestyle that you're willing to live until you accomplish the goal. Because if you're not willing to live the lifestyle, the goal is already misaligned.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense. If I didn't like podcasting, I would be the most miserable version of me because all I do is podcast.
Mhm.
If you don't love the process, the goal is probably misaligned
Yep.
because it's not sustainable. That's the thing that most people never talk about. They talk about achieving success, they don't talk about sustaining it. I think
True.
sustaining it is harder than getting it in the first place.
Yep.
Imagine you want to lose 10 pounds. Love it.
Mhm.
What happens after you lose the 10 pounds? You got to keep the 10 pounds off. That
Yep.
part is just as hard, if not harder, than the success of losing the 10 pounds. So, yeah, my life is great. I'm very fulfilled. I have a wonderful marriage. I have an amazing team that I get to work with every day. We're impacting people all over the world. Awesome. That's all amazing. And my life is also very, very challenging based on all the pressure that I'm under and all the things that we aspire to.
But that's where the joy comes from. You're right where you want to be. And so the fact that you're responsible for things would not really seem like how you feel at your normal your old job, and this time you feel responsible, because this is how I see entrepreneurship. I
Mm,
see it as a way to create opportunity for other people. So the fact that you are the one creating opportunity for other people, that is an amazing thing. And the pressure now will feel that, okay, if I quit, I'm putting this remaining other people's life in danger. Because if you have as the founder of the podcast quit, what would the other people do? How would they get paid? And some people are feeding their family from this business,
yep.
that you're doing with you. So that means when you quit, you're not only letting yourself down, but you're letting a ton of other people down. And I don't know about you, but being responsible for people and being able to provide for people, being able to give people opportunity, to help them get the life that they want and help them get a better life, I would take that a million times over
Mm,
settling, for something less challenging, because I feel like it makes me feel fulfilled. And based on what I've understood from you, you also get fulfillment that way, being able to be there for people, help them to be fulfilled, creating opportunity for them. And that is a great calling. They call it the higher calling, is what they say, when you have to be responsible for people like that.
mm.
So you talked about resilience. How does resilience fit into all of this?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the major pieces of success because realistically, and again, this is a newer awareness for me, success is just surviving. I mean, that's really the
Yeah,
only reason I'm a successful quote unquote podcaster is I just have survived longer than the people who started at the same time I did. That's
time.
all. Yeah, it's just it's time. It's you against you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also you against the environment. It's you against the circumstances, and that takes resilience. Resilience is the ability to push through when it is challenging, but you know the challenge is worth it. And honestly, sometimes you don't even know it's worth it.
Yep.
I think that's what it is. But it's personal. This is where it's easy to get lines crossed. I pretty much get up at 6 a.m. every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you you have to. I'm not telling you you have to get up early. I'm not telling you have to get up at 4. I'm not telling you any of that. But some days when I wake up, it's like Groundhog Day. I roll out of bed, I go do my mobility, I listen to my book, I get ready for the gym, I do my journaling, I come into the office, and it's just like, okay, we're doing this again.
Mm-hmm.
That is a piece of resilience, being consistent in the right direction. It requires resilience. It requires resilience when you get knocked down to get back up.
Yep.
Now, everybody's version of getting knocked down is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying you're going to fail at the grandest scale ever. Maybe you fail a little bit more than you're currently comfortable failing, and then it requires resilience to get back up and do it. But yeah, that's if you're struggling with resilience, you're probably not going to take chances that would actually bring you success.
True.
That's a big piece of it. It's a really, really big piece of it. And I think that's why a lot of the people that you see as quote unquote successful are underdogs who had it rough
Mm-hmm.
in their childhood.
True.
Because for a lot of people that creates resilience. It creates, well, I can pay the bills. Life is hard, but I can pay the bills. That's good. That's good. That's because I haven't been able to pay the bills in the past. We'll take that. That's a win, right? So yeah, resilience is huge. It's huge, and it's not what you see on Instagram. It's not what you see on social media. Resilience is personal to you. It
Yep.
doesn't mean you're running 15 miles in the snow. It means you're facing a challenge that's meaningful to you, and it's the right size of the challenge, not something extremely overwhelming.
That's amazing. It reminds me of a quote of Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is someone that man has inspired me since I was 15 years old. That's the time I've been watching his videos. The first day I watched his motivational quote, I kept watching it over and over. I would say more than 5,000 times I've watched that stuff. And he said one thing. He said, dreams without goals are just dreams. And he said, on your journey to fulfilling your potentials, you need commitment. For without commitment, you'll never start. But most importantly, without consistency, you would never finish.
Mm.
And for you to implement consistency, you need resilience. Because even though it is something you love, as you have perfectly illustrated, you get tired sometimes. You
Of
get
course.
emotionally beat up. You get frustrated sometimes. Maybe you come to work and things don't go your way. You lose your client, or something was supposed to go a certain way and didn't go. All of that can throw you off balance and make you a little bit moody. Now, it doesn't mean that you hate what you do, obviously. You're a human and you're definitely bound to go through emotional cycles time to time. And resilience is that thing that no matter what happens, you do what needs to be done. You keep going and keep pressing through. And that is just the important part about life. And you said something very important. You said success is different for everybody.
Mm.
Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. Not everybody wants to be a millionaire. Not everybody wants to own their business. Some people, what they have always inspired for in life is just to go sit behind a desk and work in a job and be faithful to one company and one boss and earn a decent paycheck and take care of their family. There are people like that, and it's totally fine. I usually say this: if no everybody can't be an entrepreneur, that's just a fact.
Mm.
Because if everybody becomes an entrepreneur, who are the employees that will help the entrepreneur vision come to visualization? They'll be all gone.
Yeah.
So we need that balance in society. People who are able to take adverse amount of risk, because the backbones behind every entrepreneur success is actually the employees, the people that back the success, the people that put in the time to work with him and to bring, because it's not a one-man business. As you all said, your friend was there to help you out. You can't do life alone. And
Mm.
so is entrepreneurship. You can't do it alone. People who have owned huge corporations, their employees are usually the mastermind sometimes, but they are just the one who has the courage enough to weather out responsibility and face all what it takes to keep the system in place and keep it running. And that requires a huge amount of resilience. And like you said also, it's a different thing to become successful and it's a different thing to stay successful. And I know this Apostle Joshua Selman in Nigeria, he used to say something. He says, there's if you just get overnight success without putting any work, there's a chance that you will return back to where your mindset is.
Mm.
But when you go through the process and go through the pain and the struggles and eventually become successful, you transform to who you need to be to maintain that success rather than just a child, driving a Lamborghini. What's going to happen is going to crash it. But when an adult drives a Lamborghini, who has gone from maybe a Toyota Prius to maybe a BMW and then a Lamborghini, it knows the quality of it. It knows how to maintain it and it knows how not to screw it over. So those are really great points that you brought up. And that leads us into your next point, which is mindset. You talked about mindset the last time we discussed. So how does mindset come to play in all of this theory?
Yeah, mindset's something that I think a lot of people hear it and they say, "Oh, that's like it's not super serious, it's easy, there's not a lot that goes on there." You are going to live life up here, pointing to my brain for those who are listening. This is what you live life through. This is what controls everything you do, everything that you don't do, everything you say, everything you don't say, every decision you make, every decision you don't make. Your mindset for most people is why you're not where you want to be, myself included. Myself included. I'm somebody who had a very fixed mindset at the beginning of this. I assumed the way I am today is the way I'm going to be forever. I didn't realize I could learn and grow and get smarter. I thought every time I failed, it was the end of the road. Every time I made a mistake, I could never recover from it. That's because my mindset was off for that entire time. Then I worked more on adopting a growth mindset and building a more positive relationship with failure and understanding that what I know today is not what I'm going to know forever. I'm going to grow, I'm going to evolve, I'm going to change.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people that have limiting beliefs. I think everybody has limiting beliefs. I won't say
Of
there's a lot of
course.
people. I
Yeah.
think everybody has limiting
Everybody
beliefs,
does to some fair amount.
right? But they're different though, right? So my limiting belief was I could never be successful. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough. I'm going to get left behind. I can't be successful. There are people on the other end, their limiting belief is if I am successful, I will lose all the people that I love. That's a limiting belief too, even if you have a ton of self-belief. That's all mindset. And if we were to dive a little bit deeper, I think there's another 3 things that really matter for success self-awareness,
Mhm.
self-belief, and self-worth. And those all come into mindset. That's something that you can work on and you can shift and you can adjust. Self-awareness is how well do you know yourself? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how well do you know you? Self-belief is how much do you believe in your own unique capability of building something in the external world? And then self-worth is how much do you feel you actually are deserving
Mhm.
of the benefits of that thing that you just created in the external world? If you're somebody who has very little self-awareness, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, that's going to be spinning in a circle. If you're somebody who struggles like self-belief like I did, you're probably not going to take big chances because you're so afraid to fail.
Mhm.
And if you're somebody who struggles like with self-worth like I definitely have too, you don't feel like you're deserving of that client, of that speech, of that partner, of that success. So that becomes this loop where I've been stuck for sure, and I know a lot of people have been stuck with that in the past as well.
That is very true. You mentioned self-awareness, self-belief, and the last one,
Self-worth.
self-worth. Those are very, very important in mindset building because, like you said, if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you're doing, how do you even know what to do right and what not to do wrong if you're not
Right.
even aware of yourself? If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't know your what, life will throw you all around the place and you keep going wherever it takes you. Just like a bone, like like when the puppies are chasing bones around. It's just how it works. It's going to keep throwing you all about like a roller coaster. So being grounded in your self-worth, being grounded in your self-belief is very, very crucial to cultivate a great mindset of success. And the Bible said something. It says, a man shall only be transformed by the renewal of his mind. And so, if your mind says, keep telling you that you're never going to amount to anything, you're never going to make it, which I believe everybody does. In the
Mm.
very beginning, everybody usually used to have this fixed mindset, except from a few exceptional that are born with growth mindset and stuff. But I feel like as time goes on with experiences and how we grew up and stuff, maybe some certain kind of whatever experience that we face, usually cultivate fixed mindset among kids. And that eventually developed into our habit and our life as we grow older until we again reverse that pattern and we learn that you can grow, you can always become better.
Mm.
Nobody knows everything at the end of the day. Nobody knows everything. Nobody's an iota of wisdom. We are all learning, we are all growing, and open-mindedness too is another key to be able to help us to grow and to cultivate that success mindset. So now, to wrap up what we talked about today, first of all, we talked about resilience, and how resilience plays an important fact in your ability to stay successful, especially, and to even pay the price to achieve that level of success you want. Either you're an employee, either you're a business owner, either you're a CEO, CFO, whatever it is, you need resilience. Because as an employee, you need resilience to be able to wake up every morning and go to job, to go to your work,
Mm-hmm.
to maybe when you're facing challenges at work, which is inevitable. You need resilience to keep going and not quit. And finding that place where you belong in life too is resilience. For example, you quitted your job and had to go start podcast. I'm sure many times you must have thought maybe I should go get my job back because of the bills and stuff like that. And the bills coming to catch up with you. But resilience kept you going. You didn't quit. One day we'll make it. Just keep showing up every day. Keep showing up every day, and overnight that success happens. And it also get rid of this theory that people always believe that, oh, people just made it overnight. I don't
Mm.
believe that. I really
Mm.
don't believe in that theory at all. It is a compounding effect of continuous movement over days, weeks, months, and years. And that eventually turns into what we see as overnight success, not knowing the price that have been paid. And that's why you mentioned the fact that success is different for everybody. It's a very crucial, important fact. In social media, you can see people say flashy Lamborghini and cars, and some people putting themselves down. Maybe you were never meant built or for that kind of life. Some people don't like that kind of life. Some people don't want to live a flashy life. It's okay. You don't need to let society put you down because of that.
Mm.
Yeah, as long as you're able to pay the bills and you're able to survive and you're able to feel fulfilled. Fulfillment is one of the key things. I believe that every one of us have a calling that God has brought us to this earth for. And it is left for you to discover that purpose. And by the way, look into our episodes. There's an episode that will guide you towards discovering your purpose. And then going after that purpose is where you now need resilience. You need mindset, as we have talked about. You need the journey to discovering where you are. Is that where you want to be? Self-awareness, self-belief. You need to believe in what you're doing. You need to believe that it can work for you. You need to believe that there is a light, going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, because that belief is very, very important. They usually say something: if you don't believe in it, then you most likely would not put your effort in it. And guess what? That inevitable failure will show up. And so knowing your what too is very important, because in the world we are today, if you don't know your what, is like a predator going after
Mhm.
a prey. So you got to know your what. That is very important. And this, my friends, are the important keys to success, the three ingredients of success. So, Kelvin, what extra thing do you have to share with us today about success?
Oh man. Well, I think one thing is you need to define success based on your core beliefs, your core values, and your core aspirations. Core beliefs is what do you believe about the world? What do you believe is important in the world? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? What do you think this whole life is about? And core values are what do you value? Do you value charity? Do you value family? Do you value freedom? Whatever it is. And then core aspirations are what do you aspire to in the future? If there's ever a conflict between those, let's say you're somebody who this is a good example. I had somebody come to me one time, it was a client of mine, and they said, I want to be a world famous speaker. And I want to travel all over the world and I want to speak and I want to podcast and coach and all this stuff. So awesome, cool. I'm not world famous, so I can take you as far as I've gotten, and then we can kind of figure out where to go from there.
Yep.
I said, real quick, on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is it for you to be home to get your kids off the bus every day? And he said, oh, 10 out of 10, man. I can't miss that. And I said, all right, cool, cool. What about family dinners? How important is that to you? And he said, 10 out of 10. What about your kids' sports games, recitals, stuff like that? And he said, oh, yeah, I never want to miss one of those. I said, brother, I mean this with all the love in the world. I don't think you actually want what you say you want, because I don't think you're willing to do what it takes to get there, nor do I think you should. I think you're going to end up miserable,
Yep.
resenting your goals, and regretful if you do go all in on this, because you're going to trade in everything you value for the stuff that you think you value. That level of clarity, if you can have that level of clarity, Samuel, I want to podcast until I die. Love podcasting. I'm not doing this to retire. I'm not doing this so I can sell the company. Not interested. That's not why I'm doing this. That level of clarity is a superpower, because I know what's in alignment. I know what's out of alignment. I know what my days are going to look like. That is so important when it comes to defining success for yourself. And then to your point, I think there's a lot of people out there that say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I disagree strongly. I love what I do, but in order to maintain the privilege of doing what I love to do, I have to do a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily want to do.
Yep.
And I just think that's kind of par for the course. So if you wake up one day and you say, oh man, I really love what I'm doing, but it kind of sucks, I think it's just kind of how it goes. I've done a lot of podcast episodes. I can tell you that I've not wanted to do a lot of them.
Oh, of course.
Right? But I'm always grateful I did. I think that regret and gratitude, regret and fulfillment really are two of the best teachers. If you regret it, maybe it's out of alignment. If you're fulfilled in the process of doing it, odds are you probably want to do more of it. So yeah, I would probably end with that.
Yep. So that is amazing. And the fact that you made that clarity point you brought up is very crucial. Because many times we aspire that I want to do this, I want to be that, I want to be that, but you're not considering what you're trading off. At the end of the
Yep.
day, you find yourself in that depression line, in that frustration point, and you're contemplating, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to quit this? Do I want to quit doing that? And then you see people just they say, oh, this guy is famous and stuff, and this happened, and he suddenly crashed, and the company crashed, whatever crashed, because now you realize that you're in the wrong place, and then you give up, and then you go look for the other thing. But they say that the fact that you have been boiling water does not mean that you should unboil the water by turning off the heater, the
Mm.
cook the plate under the water, if you realize that the purpose of boiling the water was not worth it. The fact that you've expended energy to boil the water does not mean you should keep boiling it when you know that this water is not doing me any good. Just off the heater and get off it. Yes, people are going to talk, people are going to say whatever it is. Well, at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. What matters is your life. Because when things go haywire, it's only those who are important to you or those who really care about you that will show up. The major of the people of the world who are giving you the killer, the cheering and the validation that you're looking for probably will not show up at the end of the day. So it's very
Mm.
important to be very clear about what you want to achieve
For sure.
and what you want to give up and what you can manage and stuff like that in the journey of success. And this will be the end of it, guys. The three ingredients of success. I know we talked about a couple other points, but if you look at it, they still fit under resilience, mindset, and the journey from nothing to success. They all fit under that blanket. So I believe you enjoyed this episode because I did. So it was a great conversation. Thank you so much, Kelvin, for honoring our time and being here today to share with our audience about the three ingredients of success. I really enjoyed our conversation and I hope you did too.
I did.
Awesome. So again, if you are here for the first time, or maybe you pass forward the video from the beginning to where you're at now, still do not forget to subscribe, hit notification button, and like our videos and share it to your friends and family. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. You can also follow our page on Instagram. We put a couple of shorts there and quotes too that can help you through your day. So if you're ever feeling moody, just go to our Instagram. There are a lot of things to get you going right there. And again, we are Proverbial Mind podcast, and the theme of our podcast is the Proverbs of Leadership and Success. This is a community of people who want to make a change in their life, who want to find their purpose, who want to live a meaningful and a fulfilled life. This is where you are. And if you're that person, you're at the right spot. So again, please subscribe. Our goal is to impact the life of millions of people. And we can't do that without your help. The more you subscribe, the more you like and share, you show the YouTube algorithm, the Apple Podcast algorithm, and Spotify that you like our videos and you like our podcast and contents. And guess what? They're going to share it to more people so you can help to change a lot of other people's life by just subscribing, liking, and sharing and listening to the end. On to the next one. Peace out, guys. Again, reach us at proverbialminds@gmail.com for any question or anything, testimonials that you have to share. And we'll see you in the next episode.